Hello and welcome back. I am Lakshman Anumolu. In the previous videos, we have finished setting up the environment with required utilities, using which we will be rendering some of our simulation results. In this video, we will prepare a simple studio and render it. It contains 6 walls and a light source. Using this simple setup, we can do many good-looking animations with the results from our CFD simulations. If you are interested to improvise this, you can use different colors or textures to make it look more appealing. You could even use various environment maps. Since our goal is to be able to quickly make photorealistic images without spending too much time on setting up scenes, these basic settings will work for most of our simulation results. In this video, I will try to demonstrate using some animations and models in such a way that it feels intuitive to remember basic conventions and steps. In this tutorial, we will not go into the details of each and every setting there is to do photorealistic rendering. We will not learn about the rendering equation and the details of various techniques and algorithms. Rather, we will learn a few basic things such as the default alignment of the coordinate system, positioning the camera and lights, and finally how to combine all these into a scene file. Once we are equipped with these, we will consider some simulation results and start writing scene files for those and render. After practicing with some examples and preparing scenes for our own simulations, we will develop the ability to prepare a basic scene for our case. What I mean by this is, for instance, irrespective of a simulation that you have performed, you may realize that you could render the simulation by using the basic studio scene that we are going to prepare in this video. You may also understand that all we have to do is to scale our case setup to fit into the studio and orient models or objects in our results in a way that is more intuitive to us and of course look good. Apart from preparing a basic scene, we will also be able to prepare or use a subset of existing settings from scene files that are prepared to render other simulations. Let me elaborate on this. Consider a simulation where liquid is injected from a pipe into a high pressure environment. We wanted to render inlet pipe differently and wanted to give it a look similar to the one from an image done by another researcher. Provided if the scene file is available, all we have to do in this case is to copy the section of the script that defines the material properties of the inlet pipe, and then re-render the scene to get our desired output. As we practice with more and more examples, we can explore several other options. And please remember, in this tutorial, we are following an approach where we will be learning only basic details and try to prepare scenes using just these. However, if we need some additional settings for a considered simulation setup, then we will learn those in that part of the tutorial. That said, I would like to reiterate that we simply need to have a willingness to spend a few minutes to prepare a scene file to render our results. I hope this tutorial will encourage all of you to prepare CFD results photorealistically. With more practice, it will become a habit and we will be spending a lot less time than what we might be thinking now to prepare scenes for our results. Please make note that you don't need to have a computer graphics background for this tutorial. I will make the explanations as clear as possible. I am more than happy to receive feedback from all of you and work together to make the difference in our community. One of the important things that I want to note here is, we will not use any user interface for rendering application in this tutorial. Undoubtedly, using a GUI makes things slightly easy, but please keep an open mind while we work with our first project in this video. I will provide as many tools as possible to make it easy to work without a graphical user interface. Also, the advantage of the current approach is, you can prepare and render your scenes remotely without relying on X11 forwarding or desktop sharing options, which is what most of us will end up doing while rendering hundreds of images to animate our simulations. Here is the link to Mitsuba documentation, which you can refer for additional options while making changes to scenes in future. As of this recording, version 2 of Mitsuba Renderer is under active development, which comes with several additional features like using GPUs, differential rendering, and more. Since version 0.6 has all the features that we need, also it has been well tested and used by many researchers, we will stick to it for our next few projects. Let's consider this studio scene, in which we will be rendering our simulations. Some of you may be asking, what do I mean by rendering simulation results using a studio scene? We will come back to this in the next video. Here is the studio. These arrows indicate the coordinate axis, and yes, they meet at the origin. These axis indicators will come handy and remind us about the placement of surroundings while we prepare a scene file. Here, red is for x-axis, G for y-axis, and B for z-axis. As you might have guessed, XYZ are mapped to RGB respectively. Introducing informal notation to indicate the placement of objects might be helpful sometimes. What I mean by this is, instead of referring to the green wall here as the wall that is along the positive x direction with respect to the origin, we can refer to that as the wall on the left. Left? But it looks like it is on the right with respect to us, an observer. So this notation naturally requires the orientation of an observer. To make this slightly interesting and to last the impression, let's consider a Stanford armadillo placed at the origin, who looks towards positive z direction. With respect to the creature, from now on we can refer to the green wall as the wall on the left, red one as the one on the right. In the same way, we can refer to the others as back, front and bottom walls. Top one is not shown here, but you can guess that. Whenever we are beginning to prepare a scene, we can visualize this picture and start placing objects with respect to this scene. Note that in the final studio that we will be preparing, the side walls are not colored, so it helps to visualize both the creature and the coordinate axis before thinking about the placements of studio walls or any other objects. Mitsuba provides multiple options and settings for a camera. We will be using a perspective pinhole camera, and the section in the scene file looks like this. Most of the time we will be changing target and origin attributes. Sometimes we change field of view so that we can fit a few objects and exclude others from the scene. We will also talk about up vector. You may leave other options as default. Origin indicates the position of the camera and the target denotes where it is looking at. For our simulations, all we have to do is to find appropriate positions so that the resultant image shows what we want. Let's talk about the up attribute. This affects the orientation of the image captured. It makes sure that the resultant image has the direction of this vector pointing upwards. For example, consider a camera placed in front of the creature as shown in the image on the left. Camera's up vector is aligned along the positive y-axis. Picture taken with that camera looks as shown on the right. Now, rotate the camera in such a way that the up vector points along the negative x-axis and the resultant image is shown on the right here. Let's translate what we just discussed into a little animation. We have on the left the camera with up vector initially aligned along the positive axis and is then rotated positive 90 degrees about z-axis so that it finally aligns along the negative x-axis as shown in the video. With respect to that camera, the picture of the creature is captured as shown on the right. Note that I have mentioned earlier, the image is captured in such a way that the up vector always points upwards. To make it clear, we will see another animation. This time for the resultant images of the creature, we can also see the orientation of this vector. This shows that the images are captured in such a way that this vector always points upwards. For most of my basic animations, I render scenes by pointing this vector along the positive y-axis. Like the camera, Mitsuba provides multiple options to set up a light source. Since the purpose of this tutorial is to learn by example and prepare templates that can be used to render CFD results in general, we will directly jump into this section by considering the usage of area emitter in this video. This should be enough for getting a decent looking animation for some of our results. In future, as we try to prepare more templates, we can explore other options. By the way, for the images shown here, the left one uses an area emitter with a shape rectangle and the right one uses a sphere. To be precise about the usage of area emitter in this video, we will be using the entire ceiling as a light source. In this image, we have our studio with a dimly lit source. Let's turn on the light that radiates through the entire top surface and illuminates the room. This is how the result looks like. The settings that make up this emitter are added to the shape that will be acting as a light source. We can increase the intensity of the light source by increasing this value. A quick note here. In this image, we used rectangle as area emitter. Mitsuba recommends to use sphere as area emitter since it results in using an efficient sampling strategy internally. The choice I made here in preparing a template scene file for the studio is simply a trade-off between minimizing the number of shapes and preparing a decent studio to render our CFD results. You are encouraged to try other options and experiment as we work through this tutorial. Using everything that we just discussed, we will start preparing our studio. There is a scene file studiotutorial.xml in the Mitsuba renderer folder. We will make changes to that. This file contains basic options such as settings for camera, settings for rendering algorithm, and to process output. We also have some direction indicators that can come handy to see the direction of coordinate axis. If we render this scene, we see nothing but axis vectors. Let's render that quickly using Render Studio tutorials and Run Singularity scripts. First, we need to edit Run Singularity file by replacing here with the script we need to call, that is Render Studio tutorial. Next, we simply need to run Singularity script. As expected, we have axis vectors to begin with. Before we dive into making changes, let's do a quick recap of these two scripts. Render Studio tutorial script contains shell commands calling Mitsuba to render the scene file. Please feel free to change this value to the maximum number of processes you would like to allocate to render a scene. And for Run Singularity file, as the name suggests, it starts Singularity and tells it to execute Render Studio tutorial script. For Windows users who are using Docker, you need to do the following. Edit render script by replacing sample.xml with studiotutorial.xml. You may also change the name of the output image. By doing this, the render script now matches with Render Studio tutorial script that we are using on Linux. But as mentioned earlier, the Docker image I have created will rely on render script, which is why we have to edit this to match with contents from Render Studio tutorial script. Finally, we need to edit the line endings for this script by using the Unix option here. Let's save the file. Run this Docker command. Here, make sure that the path you are using matches with the path where scene templates is stored on your system. Before you run the Docker command, make sure Docker desktop is started on your system. For the rest of the tutorial, as you change the Studio tutorial XML file, you only need to run the Docker command to render the scene. Getting back to the studio preparation, we will begin by preparing the floor. All the sides of the studio are made using rectangle objects provided by Mitsuba. By default, when we create a rectangle, it is of size 2 by 2 and spans across -1 to +1 along both the x and y axis. The normal of the rectangle is parallel to positive z direction. Notice how our arrows indicating coordinate axis are helping to understand this. But to make a floor, we have to perform some transformations on this default rectangle. By looking at the image on the right, one can understand that all we have to do is to rotate the default rectangle about the x-axis. That's correct, but before doing that, let's take a step back and introduce some notation. We need to rotate this plane about the x-axis. And we also can easily observe that we have to rotate it by 90 degrees. Now the question is whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. How do we denote this sense of direction? Many of you might be aware of right-handed and left-handed systems. We will be using the right-handed system here. In this, let's curl our fingers around any given axis using the right hand. The angular direction in which we are folding our fingers is the positive direction for angle. Similarly, around the y-axis and the z-axis. Note that it is safer to use positive and negative directions here instead of clockwise or anti-clockwise. For instance, in this video, we are seeing the axis arrow by standing in front of it. So the positive direction is anti-clockwise. If we stand behind the arrow and do the same, the positive direction becomes clockwise. Hence, to avoid the confusion, I will refer to the sense of direction as positive or negative. But feel free to choose whichever you feel easy and intuitive. Going back to our floor animation, we can rotate this plane in either positive or negative directions. Here is another point that we will need to remember while preparing a scene. The more the surface normal orients towards the light, the brighter it looks. If the normal points away from the light, the surface is not visible. This animation is not a good example to demonstrate this point. Since I used two-sided plugin, we are seeing both sides of the rectangle. To make it clear, let's consider another animation. We have a default rectangle with axis vectors at the origin. The arrow in magenta indicates the surface normal to the rectangle, which points along the positive z-axis. Let's rotate it in the positive direction by 90 degrees. Notice that as it is rotating, the normal is pointing away, implying the light is falling on the back side. So we are unable to see the front side of the rectangle. Let's repeat this experiment by rotating it in the negative direction by 90 degrees. This gave what we are aiming for. which concludes rotation of the plane by negative 90 degrees about x-axis. We will add the required section of this scene below this line. We can borrow some part of the code from the section that places the axis vector in the scene. I am going to borrow from axis y since it includes some transformations. Shape type here should be rectangle, and I will change the ID to be floor. Note that we cannot use the same IDs for different sections in the same scene file. ID needs to be unique. Based on our previous demos, we need to rotate the shape negative 90 degrees about x-axis. Let's change that. Finally, we will use existing material properties. We can completely remove the already existing property here. This predefined property has an ID non-emitting walls. We just need to refer to that. The way we can refer is by using the ref tag. Let's quickly write that code. That's it. Let's render this scene now. Similarly, rest of the sides can be prepared. How about the wall on the back next? We will go through the same thought process as earlier. We have a default rectangle. And in order to obtain the back wall, all we have to do is to move the default rectangle along the negative z-axis by 1 unit. Remember, the size of the default rectangle is 2 by 2. It spans from -1 to +1. We need to add another section in the scene file to prepare the backside. I will make a copy of the existing floor section. In the transformation, this time we are required to translate. Let's find that in the documentation. Here it is. Let's use this in our scene. We don't need to rotate. I will delete that. And let's add the required tag. Change the ID to back wall. That is all there is to this. We can render our scene again. It looks like this. Now the front wall. We need to rotate the default rectangle by 180 degrees to have its normal face pointing into the studio, and then move it by 1 unit along the positive z-axis. Let's make the required changes quickly by copying sections from the back wall. First, we have to do rotation. Rotation is positive 180 degrees about y-axis. And then we have to translate along positive z-axis by 1 unit. Let's change the ID to front wall. Save this file and re-render the scene. Note that we can't see the front wall because it is behind our camera. Currently, our camera is located here. Let's move it to this new location in order to bring the front wall into the field of view. The new camera location is 0.75, 0.3 and 0. Change the camera position by updating the origin attribute here. Now the camera is moved to the new location. However, it is still looking at the original target and the up vector is still along the positive axis. Let's re-render the scene. We can now see the front wall. Let's revert the camera position and we'll start rendering the wall on the right. Again, for this, we need to rotate the default rectangle 90 degrees about the y-axis in the positive direction and move it by 1 unit along the negative x-axis. Let's update our scene file with these changes. First, let's make sure to revert the camera position, that is to the old point 0, 0.3 and 0.75. Next, I will copy the existing section from front wall. We need to perform rotation about y-axis by positive 90 degrees and translate by 1 unit along the negative x-axis. Let's change the ID from front wall to right wall and save it and render the scene. Well, we have the right wall now. We have 2 more remaining. We have made good progress so far. I would encourage you to pause this video and prepare next one by yourself. Remember to think about the default rectangle which we see here. Using this, Construct few steps by yourself about the rotation and translation and make the change in the scene file and re-render it. If you want to try it yourself, you may pause now. For this side, similar to how we have prepared the right side wall, we have to rotate 90 degrees about the y-axis but in the negative direction and move it by 1 unit along the positive x-axis. Let's make that change quickly. I am going to borrow this section from the right wall. I'll just quickly copy paste this one and I will rename the ID to left wall. The rotation part is correct, but the sense should be negative. For the translation, we need to move this in the positive x direction. Saving this now and re-render it. I hope you could do this by yourself. By doing this repeatedly, we will be able to intuitively think about orientations and placements. Though we don't have a background in computer graphics, we can see how easy it is to prepare a few basic things by being aware of some fundamental notations. We have one final thing left, the top wall. Let's think about it ourselves mentally without complete animation. This may serve as a good practice for us to visualize. Starting with the default rectangle, we have to rotate it in such a way that the front side of this rectangle points downwards. Using the right hand rule, we need to rotate default one by 90 degrees about the x-axis in the positive direction. After this, it needs to be moved by 1 unit along the positive axis. Let's try it out. I will borrow from the latest section that was already written, that is the left wall. I'll copy paste that one and change the ID to top wall. We have to rotate it about x-axis by positive 90 degrees. Let's do that. And now the translation, we have to do this along y-axis by positive 1 unit. Let's save this and render the scene file. Image looks dark. This is because we just took a picture inside a studio with all sides closed and has no lights. Our final step is to convert top wall into a light source. Let's finish that. Earlier when we talked about light source, we saw an example of using the emitter tag. We will add this to the top wall. Let's replace the ref tag with the emitter tag. That is all there is to it. Finally, we have a basic studio that we can use to render our CFD simulations. In the next video, we will consider an example simulation and post-process that photorealistically. This video took quite some time. However, we discussed most of the fundamentals and some conventions. I believe if you could follow through and use the workflow with few practice examples, you could feel comfortable to render results from many of your CFD simulations. I hope you all enjoyed preparing this scene and learned few things. Let's make this little addition to our amazing community. Here are my contact details. Please feel free to ask any queries related to this video or drop a line with some feedback. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.